situations. I know we'll be alright. Perhaps it's just imagination. Day after day it reappears. Night after night my heartbeat shows the fear.
Hello and welcome to Overkill. Woohoo! Yep. 2013. Awesome. I don't even want to say co-host. I keep saying that.
You can say co-host.
Partner? I don't know. What the fuck do I say?
Just
RC.
the guy that's
RC
next
and
to
Theresa.
me.
Yay. Yes. We welcome you guys. We're filming again at the Partisan. Compliments of RC. Thank you so much for always doing this for us every single week. Located on Main and Merced. Come on down. Wednesday night karaoke nights and Saturday.
Oh, this Saturday. Yeah, there's a bunch of good shows happening, but this Saturday I happen to be playing with another person that's going to be on this episode of Overkill. So yeah, in Awanichi, and then we're also playing with a great band from Dallas, Texas, by a guy named Daniel Hart, who's an amazing violinist who's played and toured with all sorts of big bands, but he's also an amazing musician.
I'm looking forward to Daniel Hart, but you know.
And then upcoming after that, we have KRS-One happening.
Yep. See.
Yeah.
And when does that happen?
Hip the fucking hoppity.
Yep. Fucking hoppity.
Yeah, it'll be good.
When is
that's
that?
Saturday, February 23rd.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome. And if you haven't heard him, come out and see.
Well, let's not get there. Let's not get there.
Sorry. You hate.
Knock it off.
You hate that.
Knock
I know, right? God, no. So cool. So that's what's happening at the Partisan this week and in the following weeks. We have a very, very special guest. They're all awesome guests, but this one has the dubious honor of being the first chick guest.
Yay!
On Overkill. Yes, Vanessa Hofmann. Yes. And before we get into that, I will tell you why we've never had a chick guest. It's because everybody gets really afraid. Like, it seems like all the women just like, ooh, I don't know, I don't want to talk, and I don't want to.
Okay.
So with Vanessa, I know that we're gonna have a really good conversation, and there's a lot of things that I don't know about you, some things that I do know about you, and you guys really kind of were one of the first people that Dan and I met when I moved back to Merced, but as we kind of, I guess as kind of the relationship evolves, it's like, ooh, wow, we love you guys even more, so that's cool. So welcome,
Thank
Vanessa.
you.
Welcome to the show, Vanessa. I feel like I've met you
Hoffman?
before.
I know.
One
right?
in?
I think so, yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. So we'll kind of get the formalities out of the way
Okay.
as far as, what you do and blah, 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 which actually is very interesting. And you just started this position right before Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus, more like what doesn't she do?
I know.
At this point, she has a hand in like every committee that there is at this point.
I know.
It's just growing.
I know. She's like advocate. She's performer. You're just like you're everything in the community. So let's start with what you're doing to get a paycheck first.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then
the important things. I just started with Valley Crisis Center, and I am working specifically in primary prevention. So I'm working at Merced College. First time this has been tried. Very, very excited.
awesome.
What's primary
And yes.
prevention?
Primary prevention is looking at, so a lot of people know and work with client advocates. So there's a lot of advocacy work that goes along with clients who want to report with domestic violence and sexual assault. And so there's this new movement in looking at the overall prevention, what you can do before something even happens. And a lot of that deals with kind of the bystander intervention approach. Sorry, using very phrasy things, but
No, and it's really interesting.
like the spiel I give. So
no, because it is. It's kind of like, well, how do you educate people to prevent something from happening before it happens? So
No, and I think a lot of the history is don't put yourself in this type of position, and that's not the reality of the situation. It's what can we as a community do to help support people and help in conversation, and things as simple as just the lingo people are using that completely is desensitizing us as far as
give me an example.
so college students crazy. Never heard this before, but college students use a lot. That exam totally just raped me. It was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of not
That's the
okay.
R word.
That's
So
a
you
little
like
uncomfortable.
a really harsh,
Yeah.
serious word and just desensitizing it.
Completely.
Is that a good thing? Is that a positive thing to desensitize that word?
No, I think that in this instant, it kind of makes it something that you hear so often that when someone actually has a conversation about it, it's like, oh,
It's
okay.
almost like the N-word.
It's like, oh,
where
yeah,
it's
you
like,
know.
Yeah, you're so used to hearing it now in like conversation as far as other comedians and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Although it's still off limits for me. But yeah, I mean you have something like that saying over and over again, and I can totally see that. So how do you broach that subject when
It's simple things like having conversations with college students and saying like, I totally get it. I understand, why this would be used, where you're coming from this. But at the end of the day, let's think about the person sitting next to you that actually may be somebody who's gone through this or is going through it. And I think that that's where the bystander intervention comes in. Even, we talk about bars. We're sitting at a bar, and the whole conversation of, don't leave your glass by itself or don't let people buy you drinks. And it's like, I should be able to walk into a bar and leave my beer alone and
Right.
and accept beverages from people.
At the same time, you should be able to walk down an alley anywhere that you want. But
Yeah.
and dressed however you want?
Yeah.
But but the reality is like,
Yeah.
Really great, yeah.
RC, you're too damn sick.
with my
It's the hat.
with my hoodie.
It's the hat.
Yeah, more my scandalous hoodie today.
It's more revealing.
But what was I saying? What was I saying?
You were saying as far as walking down the alley.
Oh yeah, it's like oh, you shouldn't leave your drink
Yeah.
by itself at the bar.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, well I should be able to, but the reality is you can't, right?
Well,
at least you shouldn't. You can.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It depends on the bar too. I guess.
And that's where the idea of like the bystander comes in, where it's like as somebody, like as another patron at the bar, if there is somebody that I see that is having fun and hanging out, and I notice something and I notice a situation, where do I feel safe walking in and comfortable saying like, hey, I'm just checking in, like you seem that you're in an uncomfortable conversation, like I'm a really good exit strategy for
So that's
people
one of the
where
things that you're promoting is you're trying to get people like, hey, this is okay. It's okay to step in.
it is totally okay to step in.
When you see something happening or you see some person, because it's not just about women, right?
No, this is not.
Right.
This
when
is
you
not.
see some person in a situation where they are being pushed against the wall, not literally, maybe literally.
Well,
but,
yeah.
but
Right.
it's okay to step in and be like, hey, lay
Yeah.
off, or hey, do you want to come over here with us real quick?
Yeah.
And-
No, I'm really good at the people dancing on the dance floor, and I see somebody's dancing and they look uncomfortable and walking up and starting to dance with whoever and like, hey, you want to come over here and dance with me? And it's just little things like that. And I think it's just kind of making everyone aware that we can step in, we can have conversations about it, we can start changing our lingo, and not using phrases like.
And how receptive have people been? I mean, are they like completely so desensitized where they're just like, yeah, or are they actually listening to that and taking it to heart?
Yeah, a lot of the conversations, because it is a new program where I'm working at Merced College, and the UC has a great prevention program, and universities are different. There's a lot of things from a policy perspective that can change, and they have the students for 4 years, and here I am working with people that they might take one class.
Right.
They may not be on campus at all. And the conversations around that have been really receptive. They get it. They understand like, wow, okay, it's not, especially when we talk about, sexual assault and domestic violence. We bring up conversations like, being at a bar or, not walking down the alley. But most of the time this is, the percentage rates are, there are people that
Right.
and it's a very small percentage of people that are having issues when they go to bars and, when they're walking down alleys or walking down the street. So even enlightening people to that and realizing that that's usually what we see in the media is like, oh, there's this there are things happening on college campuses, and it's like, yeah, and that's what you're promoting, but there's things happening every day with people. And even from a bystander standpoint, it's that, making it 1 in 3 women. It's like, oh, okay, so let's, I'm in a classroom and it's like every third person stand up. Like, that's huge when you start thinking about it that way. When you just put it in that perspective of, okay, like what conversations have I been engaging in? What jokes have I laughed at?
Well,
and
what especially I think, like, with my generation being a little bit older, what has happened to women that doesn't necessarily classify as rape, but do you know what I mean? Like, you have that. In my generation, it was, I think, very different than it is now, to where you kind of tolerated, and not in like, oh, I tolerated or whatever, but just that kind of, you're in those type of positions, and I think that the awareness is really good because, being, 70s, early 80s child, it's kind of, it was different back then. It just, you would go into situations, and seriously, I mean, it kind of was, well, I kind of provoked, or I kind of did this, or I kind of did that. Do you see what I mean? I mean, there wasn't the empowerment that there is now, to where, well, I said no, and no means no. Do you know what I mean?
No, and I think, one of the conversations that I've had a lot recently is the idea of, why are we talking about what the individual was doing? Like, why are we talking about, like, the situations that were leading up to it, instead of saying, like, why is the person, like, why is their perpetrator, why are they doing what they're doing? And so that in itself is, like, that's changing the conversation around it. And also, even, people, for a really long time, it was, victims of domestic violence or sexual assault, and now it's survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. And so, absolutely, I can see that, where it's kind of, we have a lot of different types, and I think some of the conversations, people are very black and white about, like, this is what defines, like, rape, this is what defines domestic violence, and it's like, oh, okay, but we don't think about things like stalking. The fact that your person, whoever they may be, your intimate partner, is texting where you are all day long, that's a form of domestic violence. That's a form of taking back your power and control, and that is the biggest part of the conversation I will have with people is, if at any point you feel like the power and control that you have as an individual is being sucked up by somebody else, that falls on some kind of line of domestic violence, and that could fall on the standpoint of sexual assault.
And do you still see that, like, do you see the younger generation kind of already hopefully embracing that concept, like, that that yes, obviously what you're saying is very powerful, but they already kind of know that? Or is the younger generation still kind of like, oh, I had no idea if somebody was, texting me a million times a day, that was, kind of controlling and taking my power away. Yeah. Are they aware of that, or?
In the conversations that I have, I think that it's the awareness is coming, because it is confusing. It's very confusing to understand. I mean, I like going through different trainings where I'm sitting there and identifying for myself, like, wow, I totally did not have power and control over this situation. Like, I absolutely was, like, all power and control was with somebody else. Like, they had that over me, or they had that ability to really suck me in some way, shape, or form. And being able to identify that, I think, as an individual first about, and even looking at myself to say, like, where are situations or times where I've taken power and control away from somebody else, where I have, withheld something, and or emotionally or spiritually or financially, and just like that, I think, is spreading the awareness. And because it gets the lines are so blurred, because it's especially when we talk about teens, and it's like, but it's kind of, it's sweet that so and so wants to know where I am all the time, and it's like, is it really like
like the whole, like, people, like, putting them, I mean, it's like, not even, you don't have to text people anymore where you are, because there's the whole, like, the
I know,
which is scary, frightening. It's fucking scary.
And they do that, there's that whole thing. It's like, you only got to push that button once, and then it's like every time you post, like wherever it's like from this like
and that's a really
from
good
this city
point.
or from, this place.
Is that like part of it? Because that's really a good point.
Like,
that kind of social media awareness to where like if you're checking in with Foursquare or Facebook or whatever, and it tells you the location.
With like because you're doing it, the whole thing is prevention.
Yeah.
Right. So it's part of the prevention, kind of like is there like an idea where you just like a new campaign? It's like don't check in.
That's a great idea. No, it totally is. I think some of the conversations that I've had are just the awareness of what actual apps do, because a lot of people don't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of people don't get like this is what checking in means, or this is what like the Foursquare means. Like this is like that somebody could be like somebody knows where you are every second of the day, and although somebody might understand that, it's that bigger like holy shit, like I actually get what you're saying now, like I get like the bigger picture.
I mean, that's not the thing either, because like going back to what you just said, it's more about like, well, I should be able to leave my drink at the bar. I should be able to check in.
I should be able to do anything, and that's why I think even more of a prevention. I mean, I think it's more empowerment. I think it's more awareness that
I don't know where to start. I mean, you got the job that you have is I don't understand
it's a
how
huge
you
responsibility.
how do you tackle it? It's just it's like, hey, check this out. Your job is to go to Merced College and start a program that is solely about domestic violence and rape, like prevention, like prevention. And it's like, what can you do except for like just stand like on a huge soapbox with a bullhorn and be like, hey, nobody think about doing this today.
Exactly, and it's like what Vanessa said. There's so many different great areas of rape and domestic violence that it is. I mean, it's a huge thing to tackle, and that's why I think it's so fascinating, because you do. I mean, you're charged with this huge task.
Are you gonna pull this off?
So
it's up to you to stop domestic violence and rape.
No, and I think that's the important thing, because it is one of like I know that I'm not. Like, I know that this is happening. This is going to happen. It's like one of those things where you look at a lot of politically driven campaigns or just politics in general, and these things are going to happen. These things are happening, and it's how can we?
No, we don't have that. Can I get a Rubicon?
How can we spread awareness on a different level? How can we make this about the steps that we can take before? And I do, and yes, as somebody who goes to a bar, I'm very cautious about where I leave my drinks, and I check, and and I look at it, but at the same time, it's that reality of just, let's have this conversation again. Let's start talking about something that I feel like even for my generation, really thinking back on it, I can't remember the first time, never did we have conversations in elementary school about bullying. Like, that in itself is something that builds.
We played all of these very derogatory games that just, actually encouraged the weakling, if you, so-called whatever. To where, I mean,
Red Rover.
Yes.
Like, bitch, you can't break.
Yeah, you can't. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. No, and I think that in itself is, it is here. It's here. It's happening. It's happening every day.
So the organization that you were currently working with, you're starting this program with, what is it called?
Valley Crisis Center.
Valley Crisis
Center.
And it's not. I've heard of it just because I know people that work for the organization, but it's thank you, doctor. But I know that it's it's not out there. The information's not out there. Like, why is there not things in my bathroom here at the Partisan that say, do you need, like, if you need anything, just like
go to a bartender or go
or
to
just
the
at least have
doorman,
one, because a lot of times people are just like, I don't know, there's like a whole embarrassment side, right? Like, people are like,
totally.
There totally is.
Yeah, so it's
because you feel stupid. You feel absolutely stupid. I remember when I was in my 20s and going to a bar, and I swear my drink was roofied. I swear it was, because you guys know my tolerance. And after like 2 drinks, I was completely and totally just incapacitated.
Yeah, I think I pretty sure that I have been before.
It's crazy.
You know, I think that when it came down to it, I think I probably took somebody else's drink, but they're like, I'm gonna root you.
I think it might have been.
And I'm just all,
I think it might have been met from Vanessa, but yeah, no, I mean seriously, and then you feel like completely and totally. You're like, oh my gosh, and then you have this guilt about, well, did I do something? Which is horrible. And again, like I said, that's how come I'm so interested in like generational things, because it's like, you know, I don't know if it's just my age or whatever, but not that I ever was like, oh, I deserved it, but did I do something that somebody decided that they were just going to go up and they were going to like freaking root through my drink?
No, and I think that's the thing you have to remember is, you know, the questions, a lot of what, you know, even in what you're saying is, the lead up to is not what happened with a survivor going through this experience. It's why are people choosing to do what they're doing, and you know, I don't think the
prevention thing isn't necessarily like, I mean, that might be like a misconception. It's like the prevention thing. It's like you're not aiming the prevention at survivors, because it's like you're not preventing them from doing anything because they're not doing it. Yeah, and so the prevention part is like, oh well, we're gonna like the prevention part is be like to like talk to the people that might be like the people that are actually doing the bad shit, right? I mean, that's how you, is that how you start to prevent it?
No, you know, for me the prevention is,
sense,
but see, for me the prevention aspect I think is becoming as a community more aware. I mean, because they're like, I think that the reality is like, as a community, how do we become more aware and supportive of the idea? And I don't think you can bring, I wouldn't say that I'd bring in a generational difference, because I think that the thing that's been constant throughout the whole regardless of age is media. And so media has completely made this misconception of like, this is what people are doing and this is why they are experiencing rape.
Give me an example of that. Give me an example of a media.
You see it every day in advertising. You see women are, you know, geez, I mean, you see the way that we're positioned in different types of ads, or, you know, well, you watch TV and it's like, wait, what was that ad actually for?
Yeah.
That was for car. I saw.
The thing is, too, it's not just. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've had this conversation hundreds of times, but it's not just about like women. I mean, it's
no.
It's also with men.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's just like. I mean, that all goes into like developing like issues with bodies and all sorts of shit like that.
It is, but you know, and I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head when it's like, well, what do we do? What do people do? You know, I think it's like a whole awareness campaign that, you know, everybody's empowered. Like, it's our responsibility if, just like, you know, when you're dancing on the dance floor and if you see, you know, somebody like, ooh, I don't know, you know, hey, come dance with me.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just like kind of the responsibility of everybody, you know, and I applaud you for doing that, and also wonder why you're so passionate about it and why you got into that field of work, because I think it's fascinating. I mean, I don't think that I could ever do that, because it seems like it would be so tiring in the sense to where, you know, you're just, it's just listen to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm really curious on why you chose that line of work, because you're obviously very good at it and you're very passionate and you're very dedicated.
God, I kind of stumbled into working with Valley Crisis. I moved back to Merced, and
from where?
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Before we don't talk about Valley Crisis anymore, I want to get back to my quick point.
Okay.
And that's, why am I not seeing information for Valley Crisis Center in places, and why is there not more of a presence? I mean, it's like a great organization.
Yeah.
I've known people that have been working with it for a while, and I know some people that it's helped.
Yeah.
And maybe not why, because we don't need to question that. It's not why has it not been done yet.
We'll question it.
I mean, I'm not going to question why it's not, why something hasn't happened.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that matter? Is it going to happen?
Yes.
And is that something that you're going to do?
Yes, we are Valley Crisis Center.
And how do you get a hold of Valley Crisis Center?
Okay, so Valley Crisis Center has a website.
What is the website?
valleycrisiscenter.org.
But what if you don't have a website?
And that's a big thing.
Or what if you don't have internet?
Yeah. So, you know, if we have a 24-hour crisis line, I don't have the number memorized, of course.
That's okay. We'll put it on
okay.
It's all good.
But there are several
have,
ways.
Like a texting thing where you can text somebody. Like
We don't have a texting service
that'd be
currently.
cool.
Yeah.
If you could text it, it's like I am in a fucking shitty ass situation right now. And
What do I do?
What do I do?
Well, and one thing I will bring up is right now, Valley Crisis Center is new. Merced used to have a women's place, and so Valley Crisis is celebrating their 5th year anniversary this year.
5 years is long enough to get your name.
Yeah, no, and it's going to happen, and there's a lot, and I think that's one thing that I've brought in and really shared is being somebody who's worked in with the nonprofit sector is a lot of media needs to happen, and a lot of media is happening, and we are pairing up with Tom Price and looking at different ways of promotion, and so that is going to happen.
You know what I'd like to do at some point? I'd like to go through every episode of Overkill, and I'd like to see if Tom Price's name is in it.
Oh,
Because
shit.
I am pretty sure.
Oh, he is.
I'm pretty
He's in
sure
every
that-
single damn episode.
right there, that name drop right there, just like.
He is.
They
He's
made it
totally.
make
But I
know.
think that just
I
tells you
know.
how great of a job Tom's doing. Tom is doing such an amazing job with the Downtown Life magazines and everything else that he's involved in that here I am, somebody who the very first thing when I came in and, we started talking about PR material and public relations and outreach and education. And for me, Merced College, that was going to be the reality students, in talking with students, it's like, yes, they want to see posters, they want to be handed something, and the very first person I thought of was Tom. And how can I work with Tom Price, who has this great publication? Everybody who I spoke with that I work with was in full support of it.
Well, he's a person that's like similar to you when it comes to I don't think people are happy with your hand like in one bowl. Or two.
Yeah. We gotta
It's
be
like
in
you
like
are
a
the kind
million
of people
different
that wish
roles.
for. I mean that's how I feel. He's like, I need like 5 more arms, you know. But it's also, I mean, it gets. I mean, we'll get into the other shit that you're involved with.
Yeah.
We will.
But the thing is like, at some point, do you feel like, you go to the grocery store and you buy a frozen can of orange juice concentrate and you throw it into a swimming pool? At some point, it's just like there's not enough concentrate to make juice. Like, do you ever feel like, hey, this is too much? Because you do a lot of shit.
You do.
I do a lot of shit.
Sorry,
But
It's good shit.
no,
Me too.
It's funny because I feel like this is the first time in my life where I'm doing a lot and I'm breathing very comfortably and I'm not stressed out, and I think that
Which can be hard to do, Mercy.
Right? Lord.
but I think that in everything that I do, somehow, whether the people that I'm doing them with or the organizations or outside activities that I'm part of, I've made them what they are and my involvement in them because somehow they all connect. And somehow they're all part of the same thing because they're like the root being me in like I am the person, but I can choose to plant, I work for Valley Crisis Center, but everything that I'm involved in, I'm going to plant a seed so that at least I have one conversation with somebody about what I do. If it makes them uncomfortable, let's talk about why it makes you uncomfortable.
Awesome. Man, I just got like goosebumps. Seriously, I did. Because that's beautiful. I'm telling you, I did. Because that really is, and that's really what I think it's all about. And that's how come I think that I was drawn to you and to you because I think that that I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's doing things and trying to do them at the highest level while you're having like a million different freaking arms and different poles, but reaching as many people as you can while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that going back to Tom Price and you going and just even with Valley Crisis Center, it just it's a good fit and it makes sense. And I think that more people need to know that. Again, like I said, it's not really even about prevention. I think it's about empowerment. I think it's just about, okay, what can you do if somebody can't help themselves?
Yeah.
You're going to try, obviously, to help as many people as you can, but what can the greater community do to help the people that can't help themselves? And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. No, and I'll say that the group of people that I work with, it's that like in-house model of it's an amazing group of women
Yeah,
that
'cause
are
that could be hard to
super,
find.
no, it, like super supportive. It's just being in there makes me smile. And the model of supporting each other is the model of supporting each other is why we can do what we're doing. Why advocating on behalf of somebody or with somebody through something is because I can walk in any day and say I need an advocate just to talk about what's going on with me. And it's just like creating that environment is allowed that.
And I will tell you this too. I mean, I don't think that they could have picked a more perfect, appropriate person, because you really are. I mean, you're one of those people. I mean, I've always told you, it's like, you know, you're like Mercedes Frida Kahlo. You know, you're just like totally. I mean, you're just like this Mother Earth kind of like just, you know, very. I don't even want to say that. No, it's just you embrace everybody, and you're so kind and you're so true.
Oh,
and thank you, baby. And it's just, you know, one of those things where, you know, I mean, I've talked to Dan about it many times. It's like you don't see that much anymore. You know, I mean, I myself, you know, I'm fairly cynical and just very, you know, like, and I do see, you know, I'm very appreciative of people like you that really see the good in everybody, because that's not one of my qualities, you know. I mean, seriously, I mean, there's really no, I mean, I either really love somebody and will absolutely give the last shirt on my back for that person, or it's kind of like, you know, I mean, you know me by now.
Do you see everybody as a good person?
Wow. I think at this point, okay, so I think I realize that I'm like powerless, and the people that know me joke at this point. It's like, you know, start using my phrases as like a joking thing, where they're like, oh, I just want to be powerless right now. That's a Vanessa. I'm going to tap into my Vanessa. But I realize that I do not have control over like the people and places and the things in my life, and it just seems so exhausting to see somebody in a negative light. And if I find myself like tapping into that, it's just like, you know, what am I doing? Because really, even in the interaction, it's like I'm choosing to interact with this person. And
I don't see any light.
and I appreciate that.
And segue into that. So you know her very, very well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know her well.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you guys meet?
I met.
Gosh. What, 12 something years ago?
Something like that.
Yeah.
When I used to have the Mindsworth Theater. She was one of the people that would come to shows, right?
Yeah, totally.
And
Came to a lot of shows.
Places and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And we became friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally became friends. It's weird, like never talked. Great conversation.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And that was just the reality of it.
Yeah, one night we never talked. Was it that backyard party, or was it that cave, right?
What was the conversation?
Yeah. The first conversation that we ever had together was her coming out to me.
Yep.
Saying that
We were talking about shaving.
Yeah.
That was some weird thing.
Yeah.
Like
How did
women.
that come up? How the fuck did that come up?
That's how RC works.
I think the first conversation was just.
So what do you think about your? No, and then it was, and then so like the first real conversation we had, she came out to me
and came out, meaning I came out and said, I think I like girls.
Did you say I think, or were you like?
She said I think.
I think.
Yeah, I said I think I like girls.
Well, you said I think. You started with I think, and then you moved into like.
I like girls. I like girls.
Yeah.
So that means that you were like comfortable enough with him?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Okay.
No, he was. That was the crazy thing. RC was the first person that I ever like vocalized that with.
So you like the first person that you came out to was RC.
Yes.
Well, you know, I mean,
Irony. Okay. So because I say that because I mean you guys are together.
Yeah.
You guys are a couple.
Yes, we're a couple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's like totally awesome. And I mean, I've always said this, it's funny because Chente was my second guest on Overkill, and my thing has always been, you know, fuck labels. I don't like labels. I think that we've had this conversation before too, that, you know, you either love somebody or you're attracted to somebody. It's not about, oh, well, I am this or I'm that or whatever. I get really tired of that. You know, I mean, the only classification I make is, you know, like if somebody's, I know, he's just laughing at the bar, like by himself.
That's okay. He's having fun.
See, and there's Vanessa going.
I didn't even see the guy.
I love you.
So I don't.
Yay. But, you know, I mean,
He's a fucking asshole.
but that was my point. That's my only classification. Or just like, oh, he's a shithead, or oh my god, this guy's such a dick, you know, whatever.
You know,
And so, but as far as like classifications are concerned, with, you know, especially with love and attraction, I just feel like, you know, it creates more of a divide. And why would you label that if you just, you know, that kind of thing? So we've had that conversation before, but I still think that it's you know, really kind of like, so what attracted you to RC when...
Because everybody wants to know how the fuck that happened.
No, I love RC. No, I could totally see it. I mean, you're an awesome person, but would you take a fucking compliment, will you?
That just is not gonna happen.
But no, Jesus Christ, superstar, which we'll get into too. But you know, what attracted you to RC when, you know, I mean, really, you had said, well, you know, I kind of like girls.
Okay, so.
Well, I mean, there was a long friendship.
And
totally.
how long was the friendship?
12 years.
12 years at least,
I mean, but it was not.
And
like,
you guys have been together for.
I don't know, like almost 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years.
about 2 years. Yeah.
But the thing is we were just friends. Like she came to like shows that I would play.
Yeah.
You were always really, really into her, right?
Not always.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the night that she told me she was gay, and throw a fucking label on it. The night that she told me she was gay, it was like I kind of had a crush on her. You know, I mean, I wasn't like planning on like, you know, being an asshole or anything.
Right.
And I wasn't.
And
bummed
I
out.
appreciate that.
I wasn't bummed out when you told me or anything like that. I mean.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe a little.
So, you're saying I got a chance. 12 years. No, but she would come to shows, and actually, it's funny because we weren't even like close friends. Like we always saw each other like when we would say hi or whatever.
Yeah.
She's always been, as far as like the band that I was in, Olo Leo Wolof, when we would play shows, she would come to the shows, and actually she was closer to my brother. She was closer to Joey.
Okay.
And probably closest to Joey.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's for
just as far as like here's a crazy night, we're all having fun. It was like I'll go wild and crazy and run around wherever with
Okay.
Because I didn't talk.
Not so much of a talker. Yeah.
Not so much of a talker.
Yeah.
I know. It takes a while. It takes a while.
But and then I mean, I always was interested in her.
Yeah.
But not only in the way like that. I mean, it was just like she's an interesting person. I mean, you know this. I mean, it's just like it's something that she has. She's just an interesting person.
Totally.
It's hard not to be interested in her.
No, it is. It really is. I mean, and I feel that way too. You know, I mean, you really, like I said, I mean, number one, I mean, I really go a lot with my gut. I really, really do. I mean, I'm very much like, oh, he or she is good people or not. And I mean, I immediately had that with you. I mean, even when we just, you know, kind of passed by and just said a couple words together, you know, it was like, she's good people, and you know, I can totally see that. But then getting to know you, you really do. I mean, you have this just really interesting background, interesting family, interesting just everything, seriously. And it's just, you know, I can totally see why. So you guys were like friends for 12 years.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, you guys kind of got together. I mean, what was kind of what was the pivotal? I mean, what?
Whiskey?
You want to get technical? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whiskey.
Whiskey?
You know,
IPA?
It takes more than whiskey and
Whiskey,
IPA, damn it,
IPA.
to form a relationship, because you guys have been together for a while. So what was it that kind of went and just?
so yeah, I don't know. Okay, so when you break down, like, okay, for me, I've always considered, for myself personally, sexuality is fluid.
Yes, I agree.
And that differs for various people. And I was very immersed into the queer community in Sacramento, and it was fantastic. And the support of seeing all different aspects. And I think growing up here, that was really confusing. I am very excited to be back, and just it's like you see people holding hands, like you see couples holding hands, and that wasn't happening when I was in school. And it's only been 10 years since I was in high school, and it was like people weren't out in high school. That wasn't happening. And I think that we had one person on campus who maybe identified as transgender.
Right.
And so that wasn't the reality of Merced at the time. And so I feel like even for myself in like an identification, felt like I needed to have this box. Like I needed to be like gay or straight. Or, like there was no in between. There was like you're all for it, and this means that you like girls, and this is it. And I had a really awesome family. Like I grew up not knowing like you needed to bring a guy or a girl home. Totally had no idea. Like super supportive across the board.
That's awesome.
But it was the reality.
It's funny though, because it wasn't for like a while that her family didn't think that I was just like her buddy.
This is true.
Did your
treated me no
family
different.
did your family know though about just kind of what you were more attracted to at that time?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I totally see the buddy thing.
So
okay.
yeah, because I didn't actually like I never had like a sit down conversation with my family about like I'm a lesbian. Because it was this whole like guy or girl thing. Like I just understood that. And it wasn't until my 18th birthday, I think. For my birthday, my dad, he was very sweet. My dad's way of saying like we know, is I opened up my birthday gift, and it was a T-shirt with two girls holding hands, and another shirt of a rainbow that said "Where my girl's at," and it was like no conversation happened. It was just like, oh, this is great, like, and I just like smiled, and it was that like family supportive, like we totally get it, like they're like we get it, like use the word if you want to, but we're not using it because we don't care, like it doesn't make you any different. So
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So in a sense, then they weren't like really like putting you in a box either.
No, my family wasn't putting me in a box. I think just being here felt like a box, and it was just that lack of exposure. And that's where me talking about Sacramento was like I got there, and it was like, wow, there's no box.
Right.
Like there's this, and it was a larger community, and seeing like there was this whole spectrum that I had no idea about outside of like Googling or like the few friends that I had, and even and not to say that they were all in boxes, but for myself, the confusion hit because I grew up with media, with society, with a town where it felt like you need to be this or this. And I just needed that outside exposure, and I got it, and it was great. And so for me, I became very clear that sexuality is fluid.
Yeah.
Sexuality is fluid, and I fall in love with who I fall in love with. And
so why did you fall in love with him? I could totally see it, but why? Why?
Where do I start? Oh, jeez.
My ability to drink more whiskey than her.
Some nights.
Some nights.
It's funny because the one thing that I would tell people is, I could totally be with a guy because I have a really great friend, RC, and I could totally be with somebody like that. And I think it was because we had a really pure friendship, like a very honest conversation, like we just in general, like it was like having like that best friend.
Based on that, I mean, all relationships should start as like being, I mean, I know that they're not all obviously created like that, but I think that, I mean, to the core, I think that's what it should be. I mean, you should like somebody. I mean, you should love, and obviously lust opposite, I mean, that's it, but you should like somebody.
Yeah, friendship is very important.
Yeah. No, I think for me, I think just in my life right now, I understand that emotional relationship and a spiritual relationship totally is for me is a really important foundation.
Yes.
Because physical happens. Like if those things are implanted, it's like physical just happens.
Right.
Like it's this like powerful thing that will happen. But just in my life, I feel like the physical with the lack of like emotional and spiritual, just
You don't have
just
anything
don't.
there.
There's not that
Simply,
foundation.
you
Like
don't-
there's not that
No.
that thing, and that's not for
No.
everybody. Like some people that absolutely works, and I support that. But I'm very clear that for me, those are two very important things that are core to me.
No, I agree.
So.
I mean, my thing has always been, and Dan's my, third husband and my last, because I do know that he's,
Get it,
because we have that friendship and we have that real spiritual bond to where, like, there's like the comedian stuff that joke about, if I didn't have any legs and if I didn't have, no, seriously. I mean, it would be that powerful. It wouldn't be, there wouldn't be a question about it. And that's really, so I totally get that, to where that's it. I just find it very, and I hate to even say admirable, but kind of admirable, because I just think that society, in my opinion, should really get to that
What's
fluidity,
admirable?
the fluidity
Oh,
of being
fluidity.
able to,
Yeah.
love, be attracted, whatever, to whomever. I don't like the labels. I just think the labels just.
Yeah, there's something with labels that are just something you just have to just accept. I mean, they've always been there, they're always going to be there. And it's like, you don't have to label yourself, but I've always felt like if other people label you,
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
It's just,
fuck it.
it's just people need like a comfort zone. People just need to feel comfortable with something, and if labeling it, putting a genre
Yes,
on it.
and fuck it. But with this point, and again, even getting into, the advocacy role and stuff like that, it creates, okay, well, is this person going to be able to be at their partner's, bed when he or she is dying?
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to get insurance benefits? Are they going to be able? You know
It's
what
huge.
I mean? And that's what pisses me off about the labels. I just feel
totally.
love is love,
Oh.
and I just,
Yeah,
you know
but
what?
I thought we were going back to like labels as far as like, but no, like classifying people, like putting people in classes.
Right.
Oh no, it's huge. I mean,
I'm
it's
sorry, that's what I meant. I just
no, and I think for me, like that. I mean, I've had that conversation like very openly with people where I'm like, it is amazing how my life changed overnight because I'm with a man. Like there are rights that
so
I
what
now
happened?
there are rights that I now have that I didn't have.
They're rights that you now had, and because, like, let's say, your Sacramento friends or some of your gay friends, I mean, what did they do when you got with RC?
Some were shocked. They were like, "But you're super gay." Like some were shocked, and not because it was just that like, oh, but I have such a great community of people that I met up there, and very, very supportive group of people, and I
I like these IPAs.
they're good. They're good.
It's all warming. It's like
Good.
Christmas morning every time I
Lots
drink
of
one.
presents in a stocking.
It's
Yay.
like just after Thanksgiving dinner. Sorry to interrupt. With,
Oh no.
that.
Super supportive, and I think that for me, they are why the idea of fluidity became what it was. Like when I was able to look outside of the box and be like, oh no, it really is like this feeling I have inside.
That's great.
And that's where the support happened. And I've had conversations with friends where it's just like, for me, like people talk about like marriage and life in general, and I've had, and it's silly, and this is an example of how I feel like the things that I involve myself in, somehow I can integrate every part of them. And it's like going back to like even work, where it's like having conversations with people in trainings about work, and we're talking about these situations, and me expressing to them because I feel comfortable and that and being able to say
relate,
like,
I think, to on so many different levels. I think that's
But
really
you got,
important.
I mean, the thing is that too, like, okay, and this is something, the Sacramento LGBTQ community. Q is added on. Q has been added.
Yeah, I know.
But is not closed off.
No.
It's a very open community,
It's
and it is
amazing.
It's a true community.
Wonderful.
Because
That's the community that you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, when we would, because she lived in Sacramento up until not too long ago, and when she would come back, when I would go up to Sacramento, we still went to, like,
Right. Oh,
The gay
sure.
bars.
bars.
That's because where you
Well, they're the
go.
coolest places.
Well, they're the most honest,
I know.
the drinks are the heaviest, the cheapest.
It's true. It
Yeah.
really is
I
true.
mean, I don't know how they are in, like,
and then
other
the most
cities, but-
fun. But no, it really is true. But the reason why I ask that is because, a lot of times, like, you have, like, the stereotypical right-wingers, but you have, like, kind of a stereotypical very, like, kind of, just, gay pride kind of thing.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
they kind of put you in that box too, and that's
There
what
was
I
a
was
couple of her
curious
friends.
about.
There was a couple of her friends
Okay.
that just looked at me sideways and were just like,
Yeah.
"You just took one of our motherfuckers."
Well, and I think the other
straight, I
thing,
did,
I
I'm
think
not
the
good.
other thing
Yeah.
for me, that was a huge like process was I was already breaking those. Like for me, I had seen
I know, right?
I had seen this is what it is to be a lesbian or gay. And it's because I couldn't have those conversations with my friends where a lot of them had like, well, I've known since I was 4.
Turn that music up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. They turn
I feel
it
bad
down.
for
Yeah,
everybody
you got
in the
quiet,
bar
yeah.
now.
You can
Yeah.
turn it up. Yeah.
No, but they would have like, I've known since I was like 4 years old, or I knew at 10, and it was like, oh, I don't really feel I could identify with that because I had no idea. I just did, and then it was, this was the direction of like, it's silly. It feels silly saying this now, but I was not comfortable in my skin to understand like, oh, I didn't need to look a certain way. And so for me, it was like even breaking that, like that felt like I was breaking a social norm where it's like I had this privilege because I look straight. Like I look straight, so I get to walk through, and not that I look straight, but it's that assumption. And that's what like being in Merced was for me. It was like this assumption of like Vanessa's straight.
And when you say privilege, you mean like, not being ostracized because Merced even 10
Yeah,
years ago
at the
was-
time was definitely, absolutely. Like not being ostracized because I mean, there are family members
Well,
that
it's different too, and the type of people you hang out with. I mean, there's people that are more open to it, and there's people that are not open to it, or not that they're not open to it, but they're just like, no, they don't say it out loud.
Yeah. Or,
No, I think
they
it-
just simply don't understand, or they're stuck in those boxes.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are not.
Boxes,
Yeah,
on the
right.
hillsides, on the boxes.
It's true though.
No, and I do. I see that, and I respect that. That was an unfortunate. That was a privilege that I had, is I could.
It's Mondo.
Hey, Mondo.
Hey, Mondo.
Hey. You come on in. Say hello. It's all good. Yeah, no, he's like, I'm scared. But yeah, no, I mean, I get that, and it's kind of funny because I grew up with a very, very conservative family. I mean, conservative family, yeah. But I mean, for some reason, I always felt that way, and it wasn't, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I was attracted to a chick, I was attracted to a chick. If I was attracted to a guy, I was attracted to a guy. It was never, I never classified myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't, because it's like, why the hell am I going to put myself through that?
Yeah.
Why?
No, and I think Y is great, but the reality is that's not everybody. I mean, I went through a huge identity, like total freaked out. Like, yeah, even though my family's super supportive, I am totally freaked out right now because this is not what people do. Like, this is not, like, this is not uncomfortable, this is different. And even in talking, like, you bringing up that, like, there are people who don't like this. It's shitty that, yeah, there are people who don't like this, but it is the reality of, there are people who don't like this, but for some reason I was a pass because I looked okay. Like, there was nothing more. I cried when Proposition 8 didn't get approved. When marriage, and for me, that was the first moment where I realized, oh my God, there's actually this many people in California who do not agree with my quote
It's not even that
lifestyle.
they don't agree. It's just that, I mean, yeah, they don't agree, but they're
think a lot of it has to
fucking
do-
stupid.
Well, no,
and
but
I
that,
think
like for me,
lot
that
of
was
it-
a moment of like a light bulb. I had no idea. I did
okay.
not have any
Coming
idea.
from-
I'm sorry, I've never shared. I don't know if you.
Oh no! I totally. Oh come on, really?
Hey,
No,
hey,
I
guys?
can't get about hey guys. No, that's not it. No, coming from a political consulting background, I knew that was going to be a disaster, and I'll tell you why I knew. Because there are plenty of liberals, there are plenty of minority liberals, but they mostly are Catholic. And they're mostly very Baptist, and with that, they're very, very committed to, they're taking the literal sense, which it's never said, but they're taking that literal sense of religion. I knew it would fail, and I just thought to myself, damn it, they should just go ahead and they should just pass it. Don't even bring it to the people. They should pass it.
Yeah.
And it devastated me too, but it didn't surprise me because.
I mean, that's one thing that is one thing that we have. Like, I mean, a lot of people have it. It's not like fucking America's the only free country.
No.
But there's I mean, that is something we have. Like, take
Don't
people.
let America know that.
But again, it goes back to labels and classification. If there wasn't any labels and classification, we wouldn't even be having the fucking discussion.
But what I'm going to say about 8, what about Prop 8 is Prop 8 was yes, Prop 8 was going to fail. It was the first time there was a huge push for it to be on there, right? Of course it's going to fail. But the thing is, it had to happen.
It did.
It had to happen so that it could happen again, because what was the next one after Prop 8?
It did, but it did
There was
upset
another
me.
one. What was the other one? There was
No.
another proposition, right? Well, then what was the one before that?
There was no other proposition. It was Prop 8.
There's Prop 8.
And there was a huge.
No, you're right, RC.
There
This
was
is
another
the second
one?
time that we did
Oh, the second
this.
time we've gone through
Prop
with
8
this.
was
Oh,
the
yeah.
second time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. We did go through it, and it wasn't.
That's okay.
You don't have to whisper you want to beer.
No,
I was like, I have to pee.
She has to
Oh,
get.
you have
go
to pee.
She has to get rid of beer.
Go pee. We'll talk.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk.
So okay, so I remember it wasn't necessary. I don't remember it being like a Prop 8 or something. I remember it being like a what was it? Do you remember?
No,
Yeah.
it
I mean,
wasn't.
you were in
It
Texas.
seemed like it was in the
No,
20s.
No,
or
no,
something.
but
Yeah,
I
like
remember
26
watching
or
it, and it
something.
wasn't. I mean, yes, and it was, and
So that one failed,
Right.
Or it didn't fail. That's the thing. It didn't fail. It succeeded. It was good. It got the word out there because there was a lot of people before that that are just like,
Right.
this is happening.
Right.
People want to get married and they're the same sex, And
Right.
then we had, it brought up all the ridiculous questions that people asked. They're like, well,
Right.
what's next? Dogs and
Right.
crickets?
I know it.
Someone's
I know
gonna
it.
marry a
And
cricket.
that is the most
And it's
fucking
like-
stupid ass argument in the world. I'm like, good fucking god,
Yeah,
Yeah,
just get it. Yeah, get it. It's pretty.
Shit,
But then,
I hate that.
8 happened, and it's like, well, yeah, and 8 was the second one. I couldn't remember the names, but 8 was the second one, and I felt like, oh, well, this has got a chance, but I don't know, just
Yeah.
because there's so many, not even necessarily right wingers, but just like
No.
conservatives.
It was truthfully what it was the Latinos and the blacks because it's LA and San Francisco. And what happened was seriously, and what it was, I mean, like I said, from a pure, political, standpoint, yes, they're liberal. Yes, they want, the social programs they want, they want that. But when it comes to religion, they're still fucking brainwashed in the sense that it is a wrong thing. And that's where it went. And that's where
Well, I think that's something
the people...
we're gonna get past. It'll pass.
Yes.
Eventually, it's gonna happen.
It will.
And my guess is it's gonna happen on the next one. And the next time they get
I
brought
hope
up,
so.
I think it's going to happen.
I hope so, because what devastated me the most about Prop 8 is that, California, what happens is that when they pass legislation, everything else, kind of falls into place. And it kind of kills me that, you have now the northern states that are kind of ahead of it.
Washington just kicked everybody's ass.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
They
fucking
did.
slaughtered everybody.
No.
They're like, check this out.
They did.
We're going to fuck this shit up.
They did, but so did New York. So did a lot of people were like,
Yeah,
no,
but
fuck
Washington
that
did the
shit.
weed, too.
They did, they
Yeah.
did, they
Right?
did,
They did the
and that's another thing that I get really, it's like, I don't
You know what's
understand.
interesting? There's something that I just found out from Vanessa, who's back after peeing.
Yes, after peeing.
Welcome back, Vanessa.
Welcome back, Vanessa.
That's as honest as it gets. I totally had to go to the bathroom.
Okay, when someone gets a marriage license, do you know where that money goes?
Where?
Domestic violence shelters. It was the first time, like that.
Are you kidding?
That
And you
blew
know
my
what
mind.
And you know what she said? She was like, well, why don't we take the divorce money too? There'll be shelters everywhere.
No, okay, so I've had
That's
this.
a huge push. That's a huge campaign.
Well, and I didn't realize that because for me, that conversation as I was talking before, oh, now you have these rights that you didn't have before, and it's oh, okay. I think one of the best things that a professor once said to me was, people were talking about civil rights and all these things, and she said, the one thing I wish I hadn't done was got married. I wish I had waited until everybody else had the right. And for me, it was just oh, that's sweet. And then I find out about where the money goes, and that's great. I think it's really great. And it's where these funds go to and what they help support. And it's well, shit. Now I'm torn. Here I am working in one thing where this is really incredible, but at the same time, again, it's overnight. I now have rights that my best friends don't have.
Right. Will you guys ever get married?
I think the best part about marriage is the fucking ceremony.
It is pretty cool.
Besides that, there's no point. I mean, look, I've been married before. I've been married before. There was no last names that were changed. There was no ring that was ever exchanged.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It was just a very. It's we're married because we almost I think maybe we felt like we had to be married, and.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's just it could be so much easier once people are together and they decide hey, you know what, I'm not into this.
Yeah.
Well,
I
again,
think that should be something that's just that happens between the couple and it's oh wait, but remember that thing we did with all those people?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
now we have to go to the court and we have to we have to undo all this.
I've
So
done
it's
it
just
twice.
for me it's just
Yeah.
Well, but you look at the history of marriage.
It's just well, what's the idea of the idea of a ceremony is cool. I mean, that's the funnest part, right?
Yeah, I think ceremonies sound great. That seems awesome, and it's but also you're looking at the history of marriage. It's oh, okay.
And
I
that's
just
true,
became
too.
somebody's property.
And
that is what this is founded on.
Yeah,
This
true.
is this is from a political
And that's
standpoint, and
true.
the part of me is just oh, but I'm feeding into this where did this come up? Where is this social norm that this is what you do?
Well, I just don't understand how marriage is. Okay, so marriage is this thing that people do, right? It's this thing that people do, and it's supposed to bond you together. It's supposed to bond you together for life. This whole marriage thing.
Right.
But it's so involved in the courts and the whole court system, and
No,
there's
you're right.
the state and the city and everything, and it's just and it's and this goes back to the whole the gay marriage thing, right? So it's okay, well, they've okayed the civil unions.
Civil unions.
They've
yes.
okayed civil unions.
Civil unions, domestic partnerships,
Right.
yeah.
Domestic partnerships for people that are gay, but not marriages.
Right.
Why don't they demand that everybody who's
Right.
getting married have a
Can we all get civil unions and
Yeah.
can straight people
And
and before 10 years get a civil union?
I
Yeah.
just don't,
Right.
I don't get the
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get it.
It's
I get it.
take marriage out of it, and can everyone just have it's either a domestic partnership or civil union, and those people who want to go through the church go through church and have marriage. I mean, it's great. I support, and my grandparents. Yeah, it's my grandparents have been married for
Well, and the legal
fucking
system, too.
yeah,
I mean, I
30,
really do.
40, whatever, however many years.
Kind of. Yeah. No, it is.
The church
It
thing
is.
and the legal thing?
Hey, but we
very-
have
it's
separation
very
of
much
church
the
and
same.
state.
Oh, sure we do.
Yeah, in theory. Yeah. In theory.
They have total
Which
separation.
is a really cool segue into Jesus Christ Superstar, which
Jesus Christ, superstar.
yeah. So you're
Was that
in
big-
that.
I am. Was that a really good segue because we were talking about
Yeah,
marriage?
seriously, because we were talking
I
about
had to-
That's
I
how
had
good
to
we
get
are.
talking about
That's how good we are.
state.
We planned this.
I know, we did.
It's like,
Okay, I was like, okay,
so
let me
how are we gonna segue?
let me
No,
do
no,
that.
no,
Let me
we got this
check
one.
my
Let's
notes.
go. We're gonna
Yeah,
start
that's
there.
it. We're good. Here it
The
is.
face.
We're going to segue into it right now. No, the reason why I did it is because, seriously, you have this, like, with Jesus Christ Superstar, you have kind of like this emerging religion. And
Everything.
you have, like,
Yeah,
the
totally.
courts,
Yeah,
and
okay,
you
so
have
you're in
everything
Jesus-
going back.
Right.
So you,
It rhymes with you. What are like being a Jesus Christ Superstar? Do you battle with that because religiously you are?
I'm a Jew. Totally don't battle with it.
And so, okay, so it's not weird because for me, I don't understand the whole biblical thing. I'm just completely. I have no idea. Like I know that there was a dude named Jesus. I know that there was like along the lines there was a Moses guy and an Abraham guy and there was like an Adam and an Eve. That one's
wow,
weird.
man, you're like going Old Testament and New Testament.
I
Like,
don't know the difference. So for me, it's like I'm a Jesus Christ Superstar, and I
Thank you.
because I think it's a fucking badass rock
it's a
opera.
badass rock opera. Totally.
Yeah, no, Jesus Christ Superstar from a Jew perspective.
Yes.
and
And a singer perspective.
And a
because
singer
you have
perspective.
Let's go Jew
beautiful,
perspective. Let's go
beautiful voice. Well, no, I'm
Thank
just
you.
saying.
Thank you.
She's got a
Thanks.
gorgeous voice. Okay.
No, it was actually the one thing I think I was exposed to as a child, where it's like I felt like kind of okay with the whole. I mean, this is like one of those things that puts me outside of like in Merced was difficult was growing up in a Jewish household
Right.
because when I grew up in Merced there were 25 Jewish families
Right.
in like all of Merced County, like
It was a
services.
small synagogue.
Well, there was no synagogue. It was my house.
Your synagogue wasn't there.
It was at my house or at the Methodist church,
Okay.
which was really great
Wow,
about
that's
renting.
ironic.
How weird is that?
Yeah.
Rented out a room to us. So,
Okay.
growing up, I think there was a lot of weird things around Jesus Christ Superstar. It was that acceptance thing. It's like the one thing that I like Jews like listen to and see or hear, where it's like, oh, okay, this is like it's totally not bashing on the Jewish community. It's this kind of depending on how
bashing
they.
on the Romans.
Well, and that's what it exactly. It's like depending how it's depicted. It's like, oh wow, this is an actual like what I grew up to understand.
Right.
Right, and yeah, that's something that I've learned is like actual like Jesus Christ Superstar is very much like the whole like the Jewish idea of Jesus, right? It's like whoa,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like when Herod straight up calls him out, it's like walk on water.
Yeah.
You know, turn
Yeah.
like you know.
Yeah.
Well, and
Water
that's
on
exactly
water.
for us.
Yeah.
It's like the whole like I was part of the Reformed Jew like movement because there are different types of Judaism, and so as a Reformed Jew, like with us, it was like, you know, God, you could choose to believe in God or you not. Like with my family, it was
Really?
like, oh, absolutely. With Reformed Judaism, my like atheists, and if you're my rabbi was an agnostic lesbian.
Are you serious?
Very
So she
much
believed in all
Yeah.
religions, and she was a lesbian, but I don't understand the atheist part in the.
Because for us it was not a matter the best
an
way.
idea of living.
It's an idea of living. Yes, that would be a good way of putting
Alright.
it. Like
Which
for
is
me,
pretty fucking bad.
yeah, no,
very
like
badass.
for
I'm just
me,
very
like
surprised.
I remember my grandmother having a conversation with me about like, do you ever feel like there's just something like you just can't explain? And as I've gotten older, for me, I'm like, oh, the universe is very powerful. The universe is like this tool, and so God was not the word thrown around in my house. It was like, wow, the universe is that was a really strong force. So that was a really powerful energy. But as here I am growing up in a very religious household, and I mean like religious, I look at it and other people freak out where it's like religious means you're crazy, you're whack, or that's scary, and it's like, no, I think my family's pretty badass. Like here I am
sounds
talking
like it.
about like before I had my bat mitzvah, I had to study every religion of the world.
Wow,
I had
so
to
you kind of are agnostic.
in the same
cool.
standpoint of like you, I had to study.
No, fuck agnostic.
I love you. I fucking love you, man.
Like, I
I'm getting a good buzz.
Keep drinking that IPA. Yeah, no, I mean that's really so you really were raised agnostic. I did not know that. Like that you going
But no,
through your baptism.
you weren't raised agnostic.
It wasn't that I was raised
Well,
agnostic.
no, but you
I
had
was.
to know.
Oh yeah, it was there's.
Agnostic is all encompassing.
Yeah,
It's that like I don't know. It's
Right.
that like I don't know, but I don't decline.
Well, it's actually exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so yeah, it was there are the Orthodox, the conservative, and the Reformed Jews, and I grew up in a
That's
Reformed
really
household.
cool.
And I will say that I do use the word Jew a lot. A lot of people that will make some people uncomfortable, which I didn't realize did.
Why?
Because it was a label used within the Holocaust. It was Jew. But as I've expressed to you before, I try really hard not to say Jewish, because I think it's funny that we're the only ish religion.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
It's like people don't say like, I'm Christian-ish. I'm Buddhist.
I always thought that was funny too. I'm like,
yeah, no, it's the only ish religion.
Yeah.
So
what you've told me before, like the other like weird thing that people ask it when they find out that you're Jewish. What is it? It was the like, are you a practicing Jew?
Yes, that's the other thing. I get that all the time. Oh, are you a practicing Jew?
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that? Do you
go
to church every day? Because
I don't know.
Here I am, like I go to High Holy Day services. I do not go to Friday and Saturday service. I don't. As a default, being vegan, I keep kosher.
Yeah. It's like, when was the last time you were in church, buddy?
Right.
Yeah. No, those are the two things. It's the ish thing, and it's are you practicing Jew?
And that's so funny to me. I mean, that's so funny to me because and I was raised Catholic. I told you, you know, and it's like, I swear to God, I told her yesterday that, I was 5 years old in parochial school and like sitting in the pew going, Father, I'm a doggy, Father, I'm a doggy. And I'm like, what the fuck am I saying this for? And it was supposed to be Father, I adore thee. And I had no idea. And I was like,
see, I would have got that confused. I would have been like, Father, I'm a Dorothy.
Yeah.
Father, I'm a Dorothy.
and that was the time where I'm sharing with her. I was like, this is one of the first time in my life I've actually said the word Jesus, because I grew up and any time like being a vocalist, it was like, Vanessa, will you be part of this or sing this? And I was always told not to use the word Jesus, and so I would sing the vowels like. And as an adult, I'm like, I'm taking it back. Yes. I'm a Jew, and I'm using the word Jesus, and that does not make me a Jew for Jesus.
When it comes down to it, okay, religion is religion, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's, and whatever anybody believes in, that's all good, right? Like, you can believe in the fucking sidewalk.
I think so.
And it's like,
totally.
almighty
I support
sidewalk.
it.
I think
whatever it takes to make a person happy and bring people together.
And that's the thing.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
Go ahead, segue. Because I was
cool.
gonna go ahead. Do the cool segue.
I'm nervous.
Okay, so all right, so like it was like you couldn't sing and like this and that. You couldn't. Okay, so you couldn't sing and like in anything that was just you couldn't say Jesus.
Yeah.
You had to be like blah blah blah. But the singing thing, I mean, that was pretty broad, because I mean you were not only singing. This is me knowing her.
Okay.
And I'm introducing something for her to talk about. But
oh no.
You weren't only. First of all, you were singing, and you were singing with different groups and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's something that people see you, and they don't know that like you're singing.
Would never know you were in a barbershop quartet ever.
I mean, you
totally.
were not only a barbershop quartet, but I mean, like you were singing. Like I want to know, and people didn't even know they wanted to know. What is your singing background?
And she has a beautiful voice. You have a gorgeous voice. I mean,
Thank
a
you.
gorgeous voice. Like,
Thanks.
I did not know. I mean, until like I was standing next to you, and I was like, I said to Dan, I was like, Jesus Christ, superstar. She's got like an awesome fucking voice. I mean, you really do.
Thanks.
It's like strong and beautiful, and yeah. So
where did you learn to do that?
Right.
Okay. So I actually was in my first production at age 5, and that was when the Playhouse was Theater on the Square. So I grew up there. Yeah. And yeah, I never looked back. I started singing, and the one when you go around in like a staff meeting or like where they do icebreakers and they say like, oh, tell us something nobody knows about you. The one that I always use is, hi, I'm Vanessa Hofmann, and I'm a trained opera singer.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I started singing when I was about 5 years old, did my first production, and then was very, very involved in the theater community here, all the way through high school. Thespian Troupe 594,
wow.
If anyone watching knows what that means.
Wow.
So yeah, part of the Thespian Society, and started doing barbershop with Sweet Adelines International when I was 11.
Sweet Adelines International.
Was
damn. You were in.
I was the youngest person that California had ever had. Yeah, so I was the youngest person at age 11 that they'd ever.
Sweet Adelines. Okay.
Sweet Adelines is pretty intense.
That's pretty intense.
It's pretty intense.
Well, was it Sweet Adelines that took you around? Like they flew you to different places?
Yeah, I got sponsored to go to like Ohio, do competitions. I spent a lot of.
And this is at what age?
At that point, I think I was maybe 12 or 13. Yeah. I spent a lot of time in Southern California because I was singing with choirs down there and was doing barbershop quartets. Barbershop is fucking badass. That is the
You know what I think every time I think of barbershop? It's like jazz.
No,
it's not. It's totally
I think of little straw hats, like tiny straw hats.
And that is like traditional barbershop, yeah.
Jazz hands, it's totally not. It's like barbershop is like totally
You
like
do this
tight.
all the time.
I know, you can do that. You can do that, RC, but totally tight. You know, and then and you're spilling your beer.
Yours meant to be spilled.
Okay, let's go. Whatever. Okay, but no. So, and I wanted to ask you too. Like on a side note, it's funny because I mean you're a smoker and I'm a smoker.
Oh,
and
don't
you have
tell
this
anybody.
beautiful-
I'm
I'm
kidding.
sorry.
No,
You
I'm
have
kidding.
This like beautiful, like first soprano, like
I am a first
high
soprano, yeah.
fucking voice, and I just sit there and I'm like, Jesus Christ, superstar. It's like, how can you hit those notes still? Because I know, like, over the years, I mean, I was always, like, more alto tenor. But you have...
Oh,
that's Rob!
Hi, guys.
Thank you for making your
Where's your
appearance.
beer?
Sorry, I'm just cleaning it up.
Just clean it. All right. We love you, Rob.
You know what the shitty thing is? I have to fire him tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him go. He's just not... I mean, he was there this time, but I think that's because the camera's on.
Yeah, I know. He's kind of a trooper, but only when, like,
When people are watching.
exactly.
But anyways.
Okay. But no, you are. I mean, you have this beautiful voice, and I just, wow. I mean, you're kind of carrying the section, you know. And
Thank you.
this is like your first production in how many years?
At least 10 for theater. Yeah, for theater. I've done some vocal stuff outside of that, but as far as theater goes, my last production was my senior year of high school.
The whole Jesus Christ Superstar thing, it was we were sitting at rehearsal, and it's in the middle of something, and he's doing this whole part, and he's going through the sopranos or whatever, and everybody's there is great. Everybody's there is great.
Oh, they're
But he was
fantastic,
just like,
yeah.
Joel's thing is still. I mean, we have a full cast,
Right.
Joel still wants like 20 more people.
Right.
Yep.
And he
And
wants,
he's
well,
like-
and even if we have 10 people, he wants to hear fucking 20 people.
Yeah.
So he goes, he's like playing, and he stops. He's like, RC, what can Vanessa sing?
Yeah.
Like right, and I was like, and then like I wasn't sure. I was just like, well, I think she can sing anything.
Yeah.
Because at this point in our relationship, she had already she'd sung the opera, she
Right.
had sung the barbershop, she had talked about all these different things in all different places.
Aw.
And so
I can't
and
get
so
like
I'm like,
goosebumps. I'm like, oh, you're singing too. This is
so I'm like texting. Well, I couldn't look at her though.
Yeah.
When she sang the opera, I couldn't look at her. I had to turn my head.
Oh, that so sounds like you, Vanessa.
So
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
So then, and so like I'm texting Vanessa in the middle of this rehearsal, and I'm like, hey, can you sing? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, what part? And I don't know what the parts are. Like I'm clueless, you know. But and then
First soprano,
she was
bitch.
like, and then I think Joel was like, oh, go, I need soprano. I was like, can you do soprano? She was like, well, I was first soprano, so I sure hope so. And I was like,
That was a little punk to you.
And then it was like 20 minutes later, she shows up to rehearsal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And and you're such a great addition. And I'm so thrilled. It's funny because I trust Rob implicitly with shows and that. I mean, I really, really do. I mean, every time I'm like, I don't know, but then he just like, and he flips it, and you're like, oh my god, okay, cool. And when he cast RC and he cast you, I was like, this is gonna be like the best fucking show ever. And then you guys are coming, and you guys are like, you, and then RC, please pilot. You are just fucking kicking ass, and it's just like this really,
And she's the one saying this, but you should. Anyway,
Yeah,
you can
no.
hear. Okay, we'll finish up the talk about Jesus Christ Superstar. What we will say is that you can see all three of us sing. Two of us might be a little bit more uncomfortable than the other. But on it opens March 8th.
Okay, March 8th.
Friday, March 8th at Playhouse Merced, and
Yep.
like we'll all be singing our ass off, and that
Yep.
lasts for like 3 weekends, every Friday, Saturday,
Yes,
Sunday.
Friday,
And
Saturday,
you can
Sunday.
find out about it by just Google
Playhouse.
Playhouse Merced and
Yeah. Or you can go to playhousemerced.com.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and the information's there. And
Yeah.
but you can check that out.
Yep.
That's cool. That's cool.
But you know what else is crazy?
What?
Okay. Usually there's this like, huge separation. I'm sorry, you haven't talked in a while, but this is just
No, it's
she's
fine.
like-
It's fine. No,
we're
you're
drinking
good.
I'm drinking IPA.
Yeah,
You're
that's
drinking
okay.
slow. You're drinking porter.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna talk more.
Go ahead.
Okay, go,
You
go, go.
talk
So-
as much as you want.
Okay, usually in school, there's like this huge separation between like the theater department, and there's this huge separation between like the theater
Christ.
department and the sports department.
Totally know where he's going.
Yes.
Okay, so while Homegirl is doing like she's like singing opera and being in barbershops and plays,
Did you really go
Who'd
there?
you get there? Oh, wait.
what else were you doing?
What else?
I was playing soccer,
Yay. And
volleyball. I think what he's trying to get at is the soccer.
She wasn't just a soccer player.
okay. And
And what are your like? Come on, like, talk
What are
about
my-
your accolades?
Okay,
with-
so-
just like RC.
No,
Jesus,
it's
come on.
funny. I did not anticipate this one at all. No, I graduated high school one of the top 10 goalkeepers in the state of California.
Damn, girl.
So yes, I am in this weird way an athlete.
Yeah, overachiever. And that's why. And that's why I love you.
No, it's not an
But that's
overachiever
why
thing.
I
It's
love
just
you.
yeah,
Well, it's not. I mean, it's just
total awesome support.
awesome.
Yeah, total awesome support. And a really awesome coach, awesome community of people. But
Get your girl on now. I'm gonna go pee.
I'll get my girl on, damn it. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people. I'm a total athlete. Yeah.
Oh, I can
huge
totally
sport
see
player.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, you know, it's just. I mean, we'll wait to end the show until he comes back. But you know, I mean, I really kind of see you as, and I know it sounds kind of cheesy and you know contrite, but you know, just kind of the Renaissance woman to where you just embody all of these things. You know, you have a professional career. You are really, you know, involved in the arts. You know, you athlete. You there's just so many different levels about you, and you know that's why I always said to you, no, you will be my first
Thank you.
guest on
Yeah.
the show, because it's just like, no, there's really nobody else out there that I think that kind of embodies that, but really has that just, I don't know, pure spirit, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I look at that and I just think, wow, she just, you know, you're a really, really good person. And
Thank you.
I
Thank
just
you.
think that's,
Yeah.
you know, there are so far and few between now, I think,
Yeah.
you know, and me included, that, and that's why, you know, sometimes like during Jesus Christ Superstar, when you look at me and I'm like, don't look at me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like negative, you know?
Yeah.
But-
No, and you know, I think a lot of it too is I've reached a point, and I mean, I've been told it's like, oh, old soul, and I feel like I reached a point where I was just like, I could spend my time on really exhausting things, and I did. It's not like I didn't exhaust myself with like negative energy and the people that I was surrounding myself with, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, even with like, okay, so we have our show coming up, and it's like I'm playing in Awanichi, and I've never played the keyboards in my life, and for me, it was like, you're gonna learn how to play the keys. Okay, like, is that a dare or a double dare?
Right.
Like, just do it. Like,
what I
you know,
love
and
about
it's like, okay, try it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we know it doesn't work.
And that's what I
and
love
that's just
about
like
you.
where life needs to go
Yeah,
right now.
If you
It's
don't
like,
take chances, and
just-
if you don't feel comfortable taking those chances, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And
And-
that's what I think that I love so much about you. Is
Oh,
that,
thank
you know,
you.
I mean, you're open, I mean, obviously to your own experiences, but you're open to everybody else's. And I just think that that's really cool. And RC is back.
I just talked to some dude in the back, and he gave me the whole fucking like, fear the period, bro.
Which happens.
Which happens. And
Yeah,
I'm so fucking
the
tired.
giant,
I've
all the
always-
time,
I've
because the
always been a
Giants
Giants
hat.
fan. I've always been a Giants fan that had a beard. And then Brian Wilson came along, and he had this beard. And now it's like, and it's just like,
But
now
you
it's just,
had the beard before Brian Wilson.
oh, I had the fucking beard before Brian Wilson hit puberty.
I know you did.
But it's just like, Jesus, man, really? This is tired. I'm just, it's just.
sorry.
You got
You have to
it.
be
You
like-
got it. Oh,
But I got it, and
no.
then what we started talking about is I started talking about like the A's. He was like, oh, I'm an A's fan. I was like, well, I like the A's.
Yeah.
I like the Giants, but the A's are cool.
Look at you.
And he was just like, no, I ain't the Giants.
See, and he has
Oh.
no idea. And he has no idea who RC is.
And I'm like, man, I mean, I like baseball.
I know you do.
I am a Giants fan.
I
But
know.
I like the game of baseball.
I know. We need to do like the softball league. You're athletic. We need to do the softball.
You're
league.
athletic.
I kicked his ass in first base.
Do it. All right.
Base
What are
off.
you guys talking
What
about?
time is it? No, seriously, 'cause we gotta.
Oh no, because we would be talking for hours.
We're like an hour and a half.
Oh,
that's,
no.
That's good. No, that's cool.
Oh no.
Totally.
Well, you
No, it's
got
awesome.
you gotta attack one more subject.
What's
And
that?
what's that?
Veganism.
Yes.
Oh my
Oh
God,
shit! You just
opened.
opened a
Yeah.
This
totally.
should be a whole other show. We should
I
just have a
know.
panel
You know what?
discussion
We should.
with
No.
vegans.
No, absolutely. You know what? We should.
Yeah,
we
because-
should because we should have you guys back because you guys are totally passionate about that, and we
Yeah,
respect
it's
the
like
shit
hour and a
about
half
that.
in, and like we
Yeah,
haven't
we're
even
talking about
like
adding an additional
No.
it's like a
45 minutes,
lifestyle I
hour
don't
and
even
a half,
consider.
yeah.
Like
Let's
yeah.
do that.
We'll do it.
Let's get a bunch of vegans together and talk about it.
I like that
I
idea.
like it.
And
I
let's
do.
Have a vegan
Let's
podcast.
get two sides. Let's get like people that not like that are like vegans, and then let's get like
Meat
make it like a
eaters. Crazy
family
meat
feud.
eaters.
Omnivores.
Yes.
do it.
Yeah, the crazy
Let's
meat
do
eaters.
it.
Let's do
that'd be
it.
fun.
Let's
Anyway,
do
fun.
it. We'll do that.
Because
We'll do
that's another like
Is there
good
anything
hour.
else that you'd like to
Yes.
add?
No, I think it's been good. It's
Yeah?
been great.
Did
I'm
you enjoy
excited.
it?
Oh, totally.
All right, cool.
Totally.
We'll tackle the rest of your life
Oh,
another time.
Yeah.
it's
no,
good.
we'll tackle it after.
No,
Canada's
I
up.
appreciate
no.
it.
Actually, we will. We'll bring you guys back on because seriously, that is. I mean, Dan's right. That's a huge subject. And we
No, I
really
think it'd be
talk
fun.
about
I
it.
think it'd be
it's
fun
great.
because I think people would be surprised, even our backgrounds and like the
I think people would
decisions.
be surprised that I'm a vegan.
Well, I think that it's just it is. I mean, I there are a lot of different
Will you pour me one of the Rubicon IPAs?
Rubicon IPAs.
Out of
Shout
Sacramento,
out to
Sacramento,
you.
California.
Sacramento,
right.
The
California.
owners are
Midtown.
fantastic.
Woo!
Yes, Midtown, they're great.
Do a plug.
Oh,
Do a plug.
no,
Do
they're
a plug.
yeah, Rubicon makes some like. There's so many good breweries. Where do you start with?
We used to live right across the street from Rubicon.
But
Yes, we
what
did.
I do want to say though, what I do want to say is anybody who's watching still,
There's
because
made it
it's
to
been
the
a long
end.
time. Leave a comment. Throw your like if you have anything that you want us to talk about, or anybody that you're interested in us interviewing, or anybody that you're interested in you see around town
Yeah.
that you want us to interview.
Absolutely.
Write it on there and send a comment because we want to hear.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, we're up to interview everybody and anybody, but we just ooh, there
Hi,
you
Gino.
go. But we just are.
It's Gino
there's
Epps.
Gino. No, we really are. We're up for anybody, but people who are willing to.
So
Talk.
why don't you just go ahead and give us a cuss word real quick?
Yeah.
A cuss word?
I don't think you said one the whole
Yes,
show.
you
I
She
said
did say
shit.
shit.
I did say
She did
shit.
say
Oh,
shit.
poopy.
Yeah, I said shit.
She did say shit.
I'll use fuck a lot.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
No.
why I love you. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't. A cuss word. Do I have like a cuss word? Do I have like
You don't
one?
need to.
No.
No,
I
okay.
hate to put you on the spot.
No, it's
sorry.
okay. That's all good.
Well,
No.
let's
Gee,
sign
oh,
it off.
I will
Let's
say- I
end
will-
this fucking thing
We
because
will,
it's.
we will sign off. No, but it was awesome. This was like really
Thank
cool,
you, guys.
Vanessa.
Yay.
Started
having
off, started off a little weird. but
No,
anyway.
no, it was all cool. Our first freaking chick guest, and I love that.
I appreciate
and I love
that. Thank
you,
you.
and thank you so much for coming on.
No, thanks for
All
having
right,
me.
yeah. Watch us next week.
Yay.
Don't forget to drink today.
Partisan. Yep, we're done. All right.
We'll go smoke.
Peace out.